welcome to another Sunday Reset with me. My name's Monique and I am a mum of 3 young kids, and I've got a husband, David, and we both work full time. So whatever I can do on a Sunday to better prepare us for the week is what I'll do. So I normally meal plan and write a shopping list on either a Friday or a Saturday night by first looking at my diary and calendar to see what we've got on for the week. This will give me an accurate representation or insight into how much time I can allow each night to cooking. Some nights I really don't have much time at all, and other nights I'll have a little bit more time. My preference is always to actually cook on the day. That's what I would prefer to do. But just the season that we're in with 3 young children and work schedules differing, it's sometimes hard to allow that time while also helping my preppy with her readers, playing with the kids and doing all of those type of things before the bedtime routine starts. So anything that I can do on a Sunday really does help me and David, just sets us up for the week. David also plays sport 3 nights a week, and so between our crazy lives, busy schedules, as I'm sure you would know, it is hard to kind of allow that time. So first thing I do is on a Friday or a Saturday night, I have a look through my diary and calendar to just see how much time accurately I can put aside to cooking for the night. So what I do is I will plan my meals around the time that I have and work from there. I also have a look through my fridge, freezer and pantry just to make sure that I'm using up everything that I can use up. I really don't like waste in my house, and I also don't like doubling up on ingredients. So when I take you into the pantry especially, you'll see how organized it is. I use a lot of clear containers with clearly labeled food or ingredients in there, just so that I can see really quickly what I need, what I don't need. It also just helps with the to keep the ingredients to a minimum. So yes, I have spent the money and the time building up the pantry stock, but now that I've got it as a well-stocked pantry, it makes my life so much easier on a Sunday when I'm shopping. I find that there's less ingredients that I need, or on those times that we've had a lot on for the weekend, or if the kids are sick or if I'm sick or something like that, I always know that there's a lot in the pantry that I can kind of whip together and make an easy meal anyway, regardless of going shopping or not. So I'm going to take you through there and have a look at everything. So here is one of my favorite places in the harem, if not my favorite place. It is obviously very organized. David and I built our house about 3 years ago, and at the time we were living with my parents, and we had this little skinny cupboard that we kind of had to ourselves as our pantry. And I just dreamed of the days that I would have something like this. So I remember looking at plans after plans and measuring out and just getting really excited about how I can organize my pantry. And then when we moved in, I organized it, I measured it all up, went out and bought everything that I needed. So I just love it in here so much. So like I said, as you can see, it's very organized in terms of all the clear containers here. So this allows me to quickly look at what we need. So for example, right now, we don't need much cereal because it's all, like we've got quite a lot of it. All the oils are pretty good, and normally all my spices are all pretty well stocked up. So what I do is I also have a look through and I just top up things as I go. So I do try and buy in bulk where possible, just because it does keep the costs lower, or generally does. So when I buy things like rice, I buy like 5 kilo bags so that I can keep refilling this. And then I've got some tubs down the bottom that has some back stock. So I will do a dedicated video to all the organization, and I'm currently writing a bit of an ebook or a guide on how to organize your pantry and what I believe are kind of the staples in a pantry that most people should have, or what I believe that you could have in your pantry that at any given time you can kind of make yourself a nice meal. So I'm starting to work on that. So if you're interested, please let me know, and I'll continue to put aside time to work on that. So up here I've got all my pantry staples that we use all the time. So anything from cereals to pastas, rice, some baking items there, some sugars and some flour, that's all up there. I've got these mesh kind of baskets, which I keep my potatoes and onions. Now potatoes don't like sunlight, so that's why they're kind of hidden toward the back of my pantry where there's going to be no sunlight reaching them. And we do keep our pantry door shut a lot, so they go bad quickly with sunlight, so that's why they're all tucked back here. I've got, well, this is for stock, but I clearly don't have any, so we'll be buying some of that this weekend. But here is where I have a few things that I can just quickly grab and make a meal. I tend to buy these types of things when they're on special, and I have quite a few meals in mind that I can use it for. So it's not just for one meal. Something like this is just for one meal. I just like making a nice spicy green curry for David and I. Here I've got all of my spice containers. Now I bought all my spice containers from Target, but unfortunately I don't know if they sell them anymore, but I'll, when in my organization video, I'll give a couple of different options here, but I've got all of them. I love using herbs, spices and oils and condiments in all of my cooking as well. So I've got my oils and my vinegars there. I've got some breakfast items there, which will go, kind of goes with this section here, the breakfast kind of area. Coffee and tea, same with that as well up there. And when I mentioned backstock, so these are my backstock containers. Now there's some really pretty baskets on the market that you can buy for under here. I actually went for containers that you can't see through, just to organize this pantry. My kids were at a very young age and this is obviously within reach, so I wanted to kind of put it out of sight, out of mind. So that's why they're like that, but they're clearly labeled so that when I go to restock my containers up the top, I've got them there. Then we've got some of the quick and easy noodles. We've got the kids snacks. Now my mother-in-law went to Costco and stocked up on so many kids snacks because they're going to Europe. So she dropped off a heap of kids snacks. So I'm very lucky. I don't need to buy any of that for quite some time. Around this section here, I've got lots of lunch boxes and containers. At the moment, this works for us, but it doesn't always look the prettiest, but it does work for us. So I'm going to keep it as is for now. I do have all of my go-to appliances on this shelf here. Up here, we've got some sports supplements and also some of my common or go-to medicines. So just like kids Panadol, Nurofen, some sunscreen, things like that. I do have a dedicated medication area in my linen cupboard. Again, out of sight, out of mind for the kids, up high where they can't get into. But in here is just a quick, this section that we go to if we need something really quick and easy and the like most common ones. And then up in that very top corner, we've got some treats, which it's again, all the way up in the corner so the kids can't reach it. And so David and I can give it to them when we feel like they're gonna have a treat. All right, so just having a look through my diary now. So just to get that accurate indication of how much time I can set aside and what we've got going on and what I need to do to prepare the family. I'm just having a quick look. So David's hours pretty much stay the same. They are about 5 a.m. till about 2 p.m. He does do a lot of overtime, but he normally leaves the home at 4:30 in the morning. So I can pretty much guarantee that's what he'll be doing for the week. Most of the time, Monday to Saturday, he leaves the home at 4:30 in the morning. And my hours can fluctuate a little bit depending on what we've got going on at work. So looking at this week, I'm going to have some earlier days. So I'm going to try and finish around the 3:30, 4 o'clock mark, but it means that I am at work around that 7:30, 8 o'clock. So this is a good week where I do have probably that little bit extra time to cook before the kids go to bed and after school and pickups and everything like that. Given that this weekend I might do a little bit of prep for the first couple nights, but then I'll plan some meals for the rest of the week that aren't too long, but also something that I can make at home for like a nice home cooked meal. So I always look through that. So I'm just gonna quickly look through that and I'll make myself a plan. So once I've had a look through my diary, I've made my plan, I've made my meal plan, and now I'm writing my shopping list, and then that shopping list I will take into the actual shops, or I will shop online ready for a click and collect. This week I did a click and collect. So I just wanted to show you how I get prepared for the Sunday on the Saturday night or the Friday night. I get out what I can for the meals of the ingredients that I already have. So here I've got them all set out. This is only the pantry staples. Obviously the things that need to stay in the fridge will stay in the fridge, but we've got, I've just put them in their different meals of what I've got. So it just makes it so much easier on Sunday when I just am able to grab it all out and start cooking with what I've got and what I've had to buy.
I defrosted some meat that I had in the freezer. Now this one here is tandoori chicken. I had this on my meal plan about 2 weeks ago to have them on skewers and in the air fryer, but we actually didn't have that meal because we had leftovers from the Friday night. So on the Saturday night I didn't make it, and it was already in the freezer, so I just left it there. So I'm actually going to use these in my lunch meals this week. I'm going to make tandoori chicken rice bowls for my lunch. That's what those containers are there. And I've also had a boneless chicken herb and garlic, so I'm going to be making some Greek chicken bowl type dinner for us on Monday night. So whenever I wash my fruit and vegetables, I just give the sink a quick wipe out and clean with Koala Eco dish soap. And then once that's clean, I fill it up with cool water and a little squirt of the Koala Eco fruit and veg wash. While the sink is filling up, I'm just going to grab the ingredients out from the pantry that I got ready for today, and I'm just going to pop it over here ready to go. Once my fruit and veg have been soaking for about 10-15 minutes, it's time for me to get them out and allow them to air dry. I take whatever I need to use straight away to cut up. While they're soaking, I'm continuing to get out other ingredients. I also have a look over the list of things that I need to get done, just so I can keep on track and make a bit of a plan of what I need to start with first. The first meal that I started with today was my work lunches. I made tandoori chicken and rice bowls. During winter, I've been really loving the warmer, hearty, more filling meals. These single-serve rice bowls have been amazing. So basically, I always start with some rice and stock, and then you can pretty much add whatever you want to it. So as I mentioned before, I had tandoori chicken that I had been marinating for a different meal 2 weeks ago and had in the freezer, but I hadn't used it for one of those meals. So I got that out, defrosted it, and I decided to use that in my rice meals. I always add a bit of veg, even if it doesn't traditionally go with tandoori chicken. I added some spinach and some red capsicum, and it was delicious. So I always start with the rice and the stock. I give that a stir to make sure that the rice is coated. I add my chicken in. I added my veg, gave it all a stir, and then I place them in their actual individual glass containers. So here I'm using the IKEA 365 range. I put those in the oven as is, onto a tray as is, and they just cook for about 35 to 40 minutes. I just check them to make sure, one, that the chicken is cooked, and two, that the rice is nice and tender. And that's all I do. And then when I get them out at the end, I allow them to cool down and I place the lids on. I put them in the fridge. I make these for a couple of days. So the first 3 days I keep in the fridge. The Thursday, Friday meal I place in the freezer, and then I thaw it out on a Wednesday ready to have it fresh on Thursday and Friday. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the boneless chicken marinated in herbs, herb and garlic, into the oven. So that's just a whole chicken already marinated. I'm going to pop that in the oven. The next dish I'm going to make is an apple crumble, and I'm going to have that for breakfast. So this is a really delicious, easy meal prep option for a breakfast. So this is the apple crumble bake that I make. So it has Granny Smith apples, corn flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, walnuts, oats, maple syrup, and some coconut oil. I make the apple mixture first by adding some corn flour, cinnamon, and nutmeg to them. Give that a bit of a stir. I place that in the container, and I make the crumble with the remaining ingredients. To the apples, I add a little bit of maple syrup if you want it a little bit sweeter. I pop the crumble on top and then put it in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes until the crumble is golden and the apples are soft. It is so good. What you do is you just take them out of the oven, allow them to cool, place the lids on and place them in the fridge, and then in the morning I just heat it up in the microwave and add some vanilla yogurt, and it's been such a warming breakfast in the morning, especially during winter, but a nice healthy filling breakfast as well. The next meal I'm making is the chicken meatballs in a herb and tomato orzo. This is a perfect Sunday reset meal because some of it's made up on the stove and then the rest is cooked in the oven. So this is the portion of the cook where it starts to get quite multitasking. So I have a few things in the oven now. I'm going to be starting on this. I'm going to be also starting to steam the broccoli and the cauliflower for the fritters, and starting to look at other things that I can do in the meantime. So this is when a few things are on the go at the one time, and that's when the multitasking comes into it a lot. So right now I'm just rolling out some meatballs. Again, the recipe for this one is up on my website, so you can have a look at that if you are interested in this one. So I'm just rolling out the meatballs or making them into balls. I'm going to cook them on the stovetop just to brown the edges into two separate batches. Then I'm going to make the herby tomato orzo, and then I'm going to cook the rest of it in the oven. So I'm going to place the meatballs back into the orzo and stock liquid mix, and then cook the rest of it in the oven just to allow it to do its thing while I'm able to move on to other things. While the meatballs are cooking, I'm starting to get the steamer ready for the broccoli and cauliflower to make broccoli and feta fritters. I often get asked how I come up with the recipes that I make or what the recipes are. I've been making meals or cooking since I was really young, and I've always loved experimenting with ingredients. And as you can tell, I'm a bit of a add as much as I want type cook. I just kind of go based on taste, smell, the looks of things. So I have been writing the recipes down as I go, just so that I can give them to you guys as well. But a lot of the recipes that I make are just something that I kind of want to create. Otherwise, I've always looked at recipes and decided if I want to change anything, or I've tried different options. So that's what I like to do. I always make sure that I'm cleaning up as I go. It just helps to be less overwhelmed by everything in the kitchen. It keeps the ingredients fresh by putting them back in the fridge. It just helps for you to be able to see what you have to do and what is all completed. It just makes it so much nicer at the end. The next meal I'm making are the sausage rolls with hidden veg. It just has 4 sheets of puff pastry, 500 grams of sausage mince, 1 carrot grated. You can also put in some zucchini or other vegetables that you need to use up. I then add some cumin, curry powder, garlic powder into the mix it up, and then I cut the puff pastry in half. I place the sausage meat down the middle, and then I use egg wash on one of the sides, fold it over to close up the seam. And then when I start to cook it, I put the seam side down, brush a little bit more with egg wash, and optional is just to put some sesame seeds on top. These cook in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes until the pastry is nice and puffed up and golden. These in a airtight container in the fridge, and they last for about 3 to 5 days. And to heat them up, I either place them in the microwave or place them in the air fryer for a couple of minutes to make them crispy again. They're also freezer friendly, so you can freeze them. I just wouldn't do the egg wash, leave off the egg wash, cut them up into their sizes, and then when you get them out, thaw them out, or you can put them in the oven from frozen as well. Just brush with a little bit of egg wash and put them in the oven for a little bit longer. I would cook them for about 30 to 35 minutes. The next one I made was the peanut butter and chocolate bites. This was so good. It reminds me of a Reese's peanut butter cup, but with better ingredients, so a little bit healthier. So it includes 1 cup of crunchy peanut butter, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, some vanilla extract, some almond meal, chocolate chips, and then the top is just some melted chocolate, and then a little bit of sprinkle of sea salt on the top. So good. So I just made the base, put that in the freezer. You put it in the fridge or the freezer, but I wanted to make it quick, so I put it in the freezer. And then once that was firm, I melted some chocolate, put it on top, sprinkled some sea salt, and put that back in the freezer just to firm the chocolate up. If you like peanut butter, this is definitely a must try. Now I'm just doing another quick cleanup, just putting a few things in the dishwasher to get that on, so that when I'm finished later with everything, that's hopefully done, and I can put the next load on if I need to. Next, I'm just making some mini pancakes for the kids' lunches. They love these to have in their lunches as is, or even with some jam on it. So it's just really easy. Self-raising flour, some caster sugar, egg, milk, and a little bit of butter to cook with. I just make them into mini pancakes and cook as normal. I store them in an airtight container in the fridge for 3 to 5 days. You can also freeze these ones as well. The final snack that I made is the broccoli and feta fritters. So they have broccoli, cauliflower, feta, spring onions, egg, and plain flour, and a little bit of salt and pepper. I just cook them in a little bit of olive oil. These store again in an airtight container in the fridge for 3 to 5 days. I love putting them in the microwave to heat up, and they're best. I think they're best with a little bit of squeeze of lemon on them and a little bit more salt and pepper. They're really, really nice. They're healthy, and they're a great snack to take for work. While the fritters were cooking, I moved on to just prepping a meal for midweek. We're going to have lemongrass beef noodle salad. So I'm just cutting up the beef and I'm going to be marinating that just so that it marinates for a couple of days, which will be absolutely delicious. And then I'm going to cut up some of the veg that goes with it. So with the lemongrass beef noodle salad, I serve it with vermicelli noodles, some grated carrot, cucumber, the beef obviously, some herbs, and then also a dressing. So I'm just going to be putting together the dressing, getting the cucumber and the carrots prepared, and they store perfectly fine in the fridge in their containers, and that will be perfect for being able to come home and whip that together in 15 minutes. Again, a Sunday reset, you don't have to cook all the meals in one hit. You can and freeze them if you like, but I do like to make a couple of meals, a couple of lunches, breakfasts, and some snacks, but I also do anything that I can do ahead of time. So here is the final result. Really happy with it. So that's all my lunches, a couple of dinners, some snacks in the fridge ready for the week, and I've got some breakfast even this week sorted. So I'm so happy with how that all turned out, and I'm gonna love all the time that I get back throughout the week with the kids. Thanks again so much for following along. If you do like this, please subscribe and like the video. It just helps me know that I'm on the right track and what you guys like. I really appreciate your feedback on doing the longer form content, so I'm really enjoying this. And thank you so much again for following along, and I will be back again for another Sunday reset.